Welcome to Obi-Wan Studios, and for today's video, I am just so excited because I have the 7674 V-19 Torrent to review for you guys. This is a set that I've wanted for quite a while now, and to finally own it and be able to make this video, I just am really excited for this one today. The V-19 Torrent released in July of 2008 for $55, and it retired at the end of 2009. And today, if you want one of these sealed in the box, just like the one I've got right here, you can expect to pay about $350 based on sales data from Brick Economy. The V-19 Torrent contains 471 pieces and comes with one lone minifigure, being our Phase 1 Clone Trooper pilot. And when it comes to the box art for these 2008 sets, I mean, I just absolutely love them. The design in general is arguably my favorite ever when it comes to LEGO Star Wars sets, and the V-19 Torrent on the front just looks so epic, and I love how the play feature for the set as well is highlighted right on the front of the box because, as we're going to see in this review, it's just so cool. Now, the minifig window that we're used to seeing on modern LEGO Star Wars sets is actually on the top of the box, showing off that Phase 1 Clone Trooper pilot. And then on the back of our box, we see more of the V-19 Torrent's play features being highlighted, and some of the other really just amazing sets that released for the Clone Wars movie. I've just genuinely been waiting a long time to actually own and experience this set for myself, so let's not delay any longer and let's get this set all unsealed. Inside of our box, we have two instructions manuals, one of which in my case was a bit folded up, the other came out in perfect condition, along with a really small sticker sheet, and then there were a total of 9 unnumbered bags. I'm going to go now and build the V-19 Torrent, which I'm so excited to do, and I will check back in with you guys once the V-19 Torrent is all done. Alright, the V-19 Torrent is all complete, and let's take a look at our clone pilot first. Now, this is the standard clone pilot that we saw kind of for this time in LEGO Star Wars going into the Clone Wars, and I really do love this classic design. The helmet printing I think looks fantastic, and then underneath we have that standard Clone Trooper face based on the Clone Wars, which I am a fan of, but I get that it's not for everyone. The rest of the clone pilot's printing on the front and back looks really good, just a solid minifig that you'd expect to get in a V-19 Torrent set like this. And then he comes with a blaster rifle too, so pretty standard minifig inclusion. However, just getting one in a set like this, of course, by today's standards, you would be a bit disappointed in, but for the time, I mean, pretty easy to army build a set just like this. And turning now to our V-19 Torrent build, and I just think this is one cool looking starfighter. The way it sits in its landed position with all of the wings up, it just looks really cool and kind of alludes to the really amazing play feature that's incorporated into the build, which we'll get into in just a moment. But first off, one thing I want to address with this build is something that I never actually knew it had until I experienced it for the first time in person myself when building it, and it's the fact that the V-19 Torrent has a rather large lean when it's landed. When I actually built the ship, I thought I built the landing gear mechanism wrong on each side because it does lean quite a bit, and if you watch when I turn it to the side, that should give you guys a bit more of an indication at how severe the forward lean of the V-19 Torrent is when it is landed. So definitely something that I didn't expect or didn't know that this ship actually had as kind of a quirk, I guess, of the entire like kind of system, the way the wings and everything folds up and the way the landing gear system is integrated into the main play feature of the starfighter. But even when you look at the images of the starfighter on the box or in the back of the instructions manual, for example, it shows it landed completely horizontal and flat, kind of like you would expect. And then even to me at least, when the wings are in the landed position, they look like they're more folded inwards, when in reality they're pretty much straight up. So a little bit kind of confusing in terms of the way LEGO presented how it should look versus the reality of what the set looks like. That's just one quirk about the build's overall design that I wanted to just address first off here in the review. And with the V-19 Torrent in its landed position, we can show off one of the other play features of the build that I think is really cool. And it's the fact that at the front, where we have this nice sticker that adds some detail to the kind of nose of the starfighter, you have the ability to open up the cockpit just accurately to the way it is in universe. And you grab these two pieces at the front and you can slide the whole cockpit system forward and then tilt it down and it all opens up, which is really awesome. It's a pretty smooth and seamless feature that was designed into the build, and I just think it's really cool. Taking a look inside of the cockpit, we have just a pretty basic look as well. You have a blue chair, which is kind of complemented by the blue screen that's on the printed control panel for our clone pilot, but the cockpit in general, pretty basic looking. I do really appreciate though the fact that you don't have to take the windshield piece off. You do have a bit of a fun system to actually open and close the cockpit for that clone pilot. And also accurate to universe, the V-19 Torrent has 3 engines. We have the 2 primary engines, which are on either side of the hull, right at the joints where the wings or S-folds actually will fold and open up. And then you have a 3rd smaller engine on the rear stabilizer fin, which obviously when it's folded down, it faces the right direction. The darker blue transparent pieces for the thrust just kind of help keep everything looking all the same. And the gray pieces at the front as well just make the intakes for all 3 engines just seem, you know, like they're all part of the same system. So I really do appreciate the consistency in terms of the design, and overall the engines just make the V-19 Torrent look like a really fast and powerful starfighter. And of course what makes the V-19 Torrent so cool is the way it looks in flight mode. Then in the Clone Wars you can see when the squadron is coming in to land on a Venator how they all fold up, and it's just a rather unique design for a Republic starfighter at least, and I think that's why it's so popular among fans of the show. It's unique and it's a bit different, and this build really mimics that entire system very, very well. Now, underneath the rear stabilizer fin is a Technic pin which sits perpendicular to the build, and in order to actually utilize the main kind of party piece of this build, you have to take that pin and slide it so that it sits nice and underneath that rear stabilizer fin. Now, you have to do this when you pick the build up, but you take that center fin and you just let gravity kind of let it fall down, and then the entire system opens up, and then you have the V-19 Torrent's wings. They all fold down, and the landing gear comes up. It is just one of the coolest play features out of any LEGO Star Wars set ever, in my opinion. And like I've mentioned, this is the first time I've ever owned this set, so I'm still getting used to just smoothly transitioning it from flight mode to the landed position and back, where you kind of just grab that rear stabilizer fin and you pull it up, and then you just take that pin, slide it, and then it's in the landed position. I just mean, if I would have had this set when I was a kid, oh, it probably would have been my favorite set ever, just because the design, it's rather smooth and it's so fun. I mean, just, you know, pick it up. Okay, let's move that pin, grab this main kind of tail piece, and I think you can kind of one-handed almost, and then look at that. You have your V-19 Torrent, and grabbing it by the center rear stabilizer fin, it feels solid. Like, nothing feels like it's going to fall apart on me. The build feels great. You do see some play with the wings if you kind of shake it a little bit, but I mean, that's kind of to be expected. And the swooshability of it too, as a starfighter, is absolutely fantastic. I'm so impressed. I think it is amazing and easily one of the best play features ever incorporated into a LEGO Star Wars set. Alright, so I just wanted to give you guys a different angle as to how the main play feature actually works, especially with the pin system and how it's holding up all of the wings in the landed position. So I'm going to slide it so that it's underneath the center fin, and then gravity, since I'm holding the build from the front, will just let all of the wings fall down and the V-19 Torrent will be in its flight mode. So sliding that pin, let it go. Just a different angle for you guys to see how that system works a little bit better. Now I want to see if I can just do it by holding the center fin and one-handedly transition it from landed mode to flight mode. There, I'm getting better at it as the review goes on, but I think you guys can all agree with me that that is pretty cool. Now, the way this system works isn't as complicated as you might think. It's mainly just a few Technic connections and gear pieces that all work together as part of one system. What really helps it out is these actual kind of hydraulic pieces which open and close up to allow the wings to fold and kind of make the whole system a little bit smoother. So when you take that rear stabilizer fin and you pull it backwards, you see the wings, everything slowly turns down, and those hydraulic pieces will open up as well, just to allow everything to kind of move downwards and forward. And then there you have it. The V-19 Torrent is ready to go into battle. And speaking of the V-19 Torrent going into battle, it has Some weapons, of course, like you would expect. On the side of either of the two main S-foils or wings, you have the two main laser cannons. And then underneath, kind of closer towards the center of the starfighter, underneath the wing still, you have some flick-fire missiles, and the vehicle does come with a couple of extra ones as well. But instead of flicking them with your hands, it's just a pin system, and you push it forward, and then they all come out. So it's a lot easier of a system to use than some of the flick-fire missiles where you have to kind of get your finger just right to kind of get enough force to get the flick-fire missile to come out. So I very much appreciate that. They're nice and hidden underneath the build, and that dark translucent piece for the kind of missile part of the flick-fire missile also kind of works with the aesthetic, like the thrust of the engines too. All right, now let's get the V-19 Torrent back into its landed position, and then I'll give you guys my final thoughts on this set. The V-19 Torrent is a set that is really loved by the LEGO Star Wars community, and I can see why. From a display perspective, it's just one really cool looking starfighter, and the one knock against that is how it leans forward, you know, compared to what you see on the front of the box, the back of the box, and the instructions manual. It shows it sitting flat in that landed form, and that's just not the case when you actually, you know, build it, which I was definitely expecting it to have. So that's one thing, you know, a little bit of misrepresentation there between those two things. But I don't think it makes it look bad by any means when it is in that landed form. I think it still looks really great. And the main play feature, taking that middle stabilizer fin, you fold it down, the main wings or S-foils then open up. It's just such an awesome play feature. You guys can probably tell how much I love that. And I think it's one of the best play features on any LEGO Star Wars set ever. It's that awesome in my opinion. Now, this set though does have one issue that I have purposefully left until the end of the review, and it's LEGO's quality control. Basically, to keep it short and sweet, for about a 10-year span from my understanding at least, the way LEGO dyed certain pieces, dark red being one of them, dark brown being another, it made the pieces age very poorly and they became very brittle after a while and were very prone to cracking and breaking. The build, as you guys can clearly see, has a lot of dark red pieces, and even though I bought this set brand new, completely sealed, I did have some pieces crack and break on me. I had just some pieces crack, but not fully break, and I did document the building process a little bit, so a vlog will go up on my second channel, OB2 Studios, if you want to check that out in more detail. So the main knockback against the V-19 Torrent has nothing to do with its design or the actual quality of the build from a building and actual engineering standpoint. It's just the fact that these dark red pieces, unfortunately from this time frame, just aren't designed to last. And that is something you have to keep in mind if you want to pick up this set. Used especially, it's going to be a lot worse, but even brand new, it's a risk that you have to be expected to take at this point, and that's a sad reality to be in. But putting the brittle dark red piece issue aside now, I still really love this set, and I'm so excited to finally own it, if you guys couldn't tell already throughout the review, and now I just have to find a home for it in my display shelves behind me. So for the OB1 Studios official set rating, I'm giving this one a 9 out of 10. It's truly fantastic. Like I said, putting that brittle dark red piece issue aside, I don't want to penalize how great this set is for this review because of that issue. I think it's amazing. That $350 value that it demands now on the collector's market for its sealed, new in box, it's going to be hard to say that that is worth it at this point, and I really just think it's all going to depend on that 2025 V-19 Torrent that we're rumored to get. If that one is fantastic, then I think a lot of people will just go and purchase that one, but if it doesn't really live up to the expectations and the, you know, how great the original was, then I think this one is going to be one that a lot of people are still going to want to add to their collection. So only time will tell, but that I think is going to be a big factor in whether or not this set will continue to be as desired as it is currently. Thank you guys for watching my review on the 7674 V-19 Torrent. As always, let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments down below on this set. I'm sure a lot of you guys have had this from when it first released. And just, yeah, if you agree with me that it's one of the best play features on any LEGO Star Wars set, maybe I'll have to make a video going over the top, 10 play features on LEGO Star Wars sets. That could be a pretty cool video. And if you guys haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel already and you did enjoy the review, please consider hitting that subscribe button, as it's just truly the best way to support the videos that I make. And until the next time, you guys, thanks so much again for watching, and I'll see you on the next LEGO Star Wars set review.